And that's the team they're going to have to face off against now. It's Armada up against Very Nice to Me for the final spot in the placement stage, because every other team has been confirmed now outside of this one. So as the picks and bans come through, root for your favorites here, or the ones you want to see there. It's Armada or Very Nice to Me. I'm favoring Armada as well here, Taco. 2 roster changes for Very Nice to Me in the final week beforehand. It's a big risk for the whole year's
It's
play.
not even the final week. It's literally
the final game.
The final set of like games that you're going to be playing is this round robin stage, and you decide, time to switch out our mid, time to get a new jungler. And I don't think that Glavis and Amul's performances, sure, they were a little bit shaky in like the final week, but you have to keep in mind Glavis or Amul not being available means that they had to bring in Elpadog, and Elpadog, I think, kind of impacted the way that Glavis' jungle ended up, and that seemed like a little bit of a detriment to the whole team environment. It just seems very odd to me, for Very Nice to Me, to commit to those sort of roster swaps last minute.
Well, listen, we can talk about it because once the game's over, if they win, then we can shut our mouths. They're coming into the placements. If they don't, no Armada will be. Terra will be their first selection, and Nice to Me will respond with the RTO pick immediately. I do like RTO against Terra, just shuts down the mobility because always wanting to dash as Terra the whole time. Can't do that if RTO's crippling.
Seems like both sides just want to get their front lines going already. Terra and Achilles for Armada. And Achilles, I think that we could possibly see some Baron even for Armada. It's a little bit up in the air though, but Soul's going to be the god for their liking here. And one more time, I just think that Sops really has a thing for Soul. I think that it does go very well for him.
Not so sure about this Achilles pick though for Brawl. Like game 1 when we saw him take on Sanguine earlier today, he kind of struggled in the starting phase there, but then he got a bit more support from Cope as the game went on. Maybe this time they give the protection to Brawl in the early stages and maybe help him snowball the lane a little.
Cope wasn't really able to assist Brawl in game 1 up against Sanguine, and I think that definitely showed because Brawl was just getting heavily controlled by that Humbot's rotations. And as long as Brawl can just watch his positioning early on, maybe not look to play for the lane bully aspects and instead just work on building up that farm and looking for some early rotations. He went for the early rotations also in game 1. It's just that they didn't really amount to anything because he wasn't ahead in his lane. He wasn't even with the enemy solo laner. He was kind of just stuck slightly trailing behind here and tried to force the rotations, but if he just spends all of his time focusing on farming first and then moving in, that might bode a little bit better for the team.
Mercury versus Erlang Shen. How is that in the jungle? Is there any of... I guess obviously Mercury's got the speed advantage of Clay, but Erlang's not too far behind, right?
It depends. Mercury can have the advantage after he gets the Golden Blade online, but Erlang I would definitely favor for the early game just because Warriors, their base damage is just going to be significantly higher than that of the Mercury. Even if molluskk is perfect with his special deliveries, he's going to have to be mindful of the fact that Copebby can probably still just out-damage him.
Okay then. Well, you guys at home get to choose on who you think will win this game. It's a best of 3. The casters are standing by. Who's going to land, boys? Let's find out.
It's just as simple as that, Hinderman. Great job there, Taco, as well. Finch and Anatoly on the call. And whoever wins this set, it's just that easy, gets to move on. SoloOrTroll already in a bit of trouble to start things off. Below half HP. The slow comes out as well. First blood for Cope on the Erlang Shen. Armada already looking good.
Armada taking a page from Sanguine's book in that best of 3 set during that little invade after the red buff, wanting to kick things off even before minions spawning. And with this first blood now going to Cope, we saw what Cope was able to do in games 2 and 3 up against Sanguine. And with the first blood, I think some of those fans at home might want to revisit their votes.
And it was definitely a bit of attention Cope was able to put towards solo lane. And I wonder if that's going to be the same thing he'll do with this advantage this time. It was effective up against Young Lav, but SoloOrTroll, quite seasoned. He's on the Athena. Will they be able to find that same aggression there?
Oh, wow. Even more poke right onto Wowy. Would have been more if Sibyl connected onto that stun, but lane pressure should be going to Armada. They're just going to probably ignore the wave and go straight on these 2 members.
There's no reason not to. They've got the Terror, they've got the Cooler, and all the pressure could want. Wall misses, but belated arrow still there either way. Axe lands, but sBennyQ has no more follow-up, and they actually are a bit behind in terms of clear after looking for poke, and Lefty should clear this up sufficiently.
Sibyl not able to really connect on these stuns is starting to hurt Armada in the laning phase. Not too much in the first wave, but needs to go for round 2. And with the assists here, they should be able to hit level 2 first if they can clear this wave right off the bat, but not able to out-clear this combination.
Left is going pretty aggressive. He's beyond the wave, but sBennyQ and Sibyl don't have enough damage to punish it here, but Tool, you heard him talking about it towards the end of the desk, right? This matchup in these junglers, the Erlang Shin up against the Mercury. Mercury probably should be able to win in terms of clear, but which one of these guys is going to be able to have the most impact and win?
I think Cope, because he went blink at the end of the day. molluskk is going to have to hit some really clutch sonic booms if he wants to make a bigger splash than Copebby. And with the power spike of gold bounty for first blood onto Cope, he should be in a better power spike situation, finishing off the pen tree, finishing off the boots first.
Definitely is a bit of an added advantage for Cope to be able to sort of get a little bonus, a little gift to get things started up. Armada did a great job tracking down that early kill on the SoloOrTroll to start things off. It shouldn't hurt SoloOrTroll too much because it happened so early, didn't miss any farm. It's just a nice game for Cope to be able to already have that first blood.
Still more action in the duel lane. DaddyLefty looking for the poke, and every time DaddyLefty hits sBennyQ, he's also attracting the minions, but look what Cope is with the blink, with the pin. DaddyLefty with no mana.
He's very low, and the auto attack still coming in. Wall lands, jump in from Benny, and Sibyl finds the kill on the DaddyLefty. Ocean's unable to find the unruly magic, though the strife is good. So very nice to me. Can't find anything on the back end, and Armada now up 2-0.
A good pickoff, taking away the life of DaddyLefty. Unfortunately, it did go to Sibyl, but that's not the end-all, be-all. I think Armada will take him where it comes at the end of the day.
But already a really good start for Armada. A lot of it off the back of Cope. They're able to find that first blood, which Cope gets the kill for, and then we see the rotation over to duo lane from Cope, putting that blink to good work very early on, already causing even more problems for this duo lane.
He's such an aggressive jungler, and it's showing it already in this best-of-3 set at the very beginning of game number 1. This is how you set the pace of a set.
Yeah.
The meta has kind of shifted where, I believe in game number 3, there was no Mercury picked or banned up against Sanguine, but now being heavily prioritized. There's got to be a lot of work that molluskk needs to catch up to shut down the likes of Cope.
And remember, molluskk is coming in instead of Glavis here. Very nice to me. Made some adjustments on their way into a very important day here today. They also, instead of Amule, instead of, I think they had one other mid laner in there. It's Oceans in there this time for them. So we'll have to see how well those picks can work up against this true test here of Armada, who've looked good so far today.
They definitely have. Being able to, surrender the first game against Sanguine 20.5 minutes in to basically dominating them in games 2 and 3 is no easy task. So they are up for the challenge and having a lot of momentum, I feel, going into this set now. To be fair, also, very nice to me, we're able to dismantle the struggling Sanguine with or without their traditional members, as molluskk and Oceans substituting in for that Glavis Amule combination.
An unfortunate end to the day for Sanguine, who looked strong towards the back end of the fall split and not able to really get that to show up here when it mattered the most. But it will be one of these two teams that will be a representative out of North America joining Insignum, who've already made their way into the placement stage brackets. Very nice to be in Armada, both with strong fall splits trying to join him.
SoloOrTroll trying to keep this minion wave outside the tower, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage from those archers. And by going Guardian's Blessing, you don't want to clear the wave right off the bat, but you don't also want to lose the gold under the tower. So it's that never-ending battle at the end where Bra's going to be able to use this power spike play of tier 2 boots, Chalice, teleport back early, finish off the Warrior Tabby, and then look for the base damage poke. Because Bra, when you go with the shirtless Achilles passive, your extra physical power is going to be able to do just that.
Makes him such a bully in the lane, doesn't it, when Achilles is able to go with some of that extra power. Cope is nearby this middle lane, but I think he's a little bit more concerned with farm than anything else. He needs to enjoy what clear speed he has, because molluskk has completed the Golden Blade and will be clearly outpacing him. Though sops might be in trouble, molluskk is right here, but just barely into Disapparate, so they can't follow us.
True, Disapparate coming in clutch there, avoiding that special delivery. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, a little 1v1 battle, but a 2v1 on the right.
Cope here again to make the difference. SoloOrTroll trying to channel, but can't get it off in time. Bruh finds the execute. One more kill for Armada.
Good timing of the lethal strike, or fatal strike rather, as Wowy's going to bully sBennyQ around this time. The Transcendence Rush versus the Devil Glove stack rush. sBennyQ skipping out on the boots, whereas Wowy wants that mobility, and as an on-her player, I respect that decision. You have the ability to slow the opposition, you have the ability to throw out that obelisk to intercept the bladed arrow, the axe as well, and making it difficult to really do anything to the on-her.
See if he can keep that pressure going for him. The Uller very likely should be able to in that dual lane. That's why you pick him. Another one you expect to be able to grab some pressure here is molluskk. I'm a little surprised at how quiet he's been. It's only been 5.5 minutes, so certainly there hasn't been a ton of time that's passed yet, but already Cope has made his impact felt in every lane, 1-0-2, and molluskk just kind of farming.
That's a team effort that Armada wanted to deploy to start it off with a 5-man grouping. They found an early pick right on top of SoloOrTroll. And then that good timing gank with the blink. If you're going to buy blink at level 1, you better be using it. Whereas molluskk is looking for the counter engages, going for the beads right off the bat, wanting to make sure that if he is in a 1v1 up against Cope, that he'll be able to at least beads away the turtle knock-up, the taunt to follow suit, and going to use that global pressure to force some issues.
That safety factor from molluskk should come in nicely. I wouldn't mind seeing him, though, against this Ullr. Ullr can be a little bit punishable, right? No CC immune ultimate, can sometimes be slow to get the leap off if he has to switch stances. There might be an opportunity there, but it's going to have to come from Wowy's communication, right? Now would be the time to come in.
SoloOrTroll still stacking the Guardian's Blessing, taking a long time to fully evolve it. Halfway there, only at 25 stacks, because he keeps trying to last hit the minions outside the tower. I think that if you're going to be doing this, you might as well be going for some other starting item.
It is a bit curious, right? He hasn't exactly leaned fully into this Guardian's Blessing star. Perhaps he feels like he'll still get enough value, even if it takes a while for it to finish stacking, as long as he gets those last hits. But I agree. This definitely seems as though you'd want to let him just go ahead and die to the tower before the other wave.
The net worth is starting to separate, about 150 gold separating as Bra's been able to just continue the pressure, try to bully it under the tower. And this time, Cope going to be looking for another gank, recognizing that SoloOrTroll is going to be looking to clear outside the minions. But this time he smelled something fishy walking over the wards. Cope was spotted out.
Ton of damage from Cope, and molluskk a little bit late on the beads. Has the ultimate charge, but gets pulled back in. He's in execute threshold, has to commit the ultimate, and the Defender of Olympus for SoloOrTroll. A nice win for Cope.
He was really worried about Bra's damage after the fact. DaddyLefty counting his lucky stars as he dashes away.
Now Sibyl could be in some trouble. Cope chases down Oceans underneath the tier 1 tower. Bra lands the stun, but there's no more follow-up there. One clean pick for Armada, and they can start moving toward an objective if they're ready, but I think they want that red buff.
Oh, yeah. They want to get these little small objectives, grabbing themselves the red. Bra's going to be able to strip away the back camps and add a blue buff just for good measure. molluskk a little bit off the mark with that special delivery, but he has plenty of movement speed if he wanted to chase, but as soon as he sees Cope and Sibyl, he has to back off.
Bra gonna continue trying to bully SoloOrTroll, but so far this game has been all Armada, and it's hard not to notice the impact Cope is having as opposed to that of molluskk. He forces out 2 key cooldowns from molluskk and from SoloOrTroll in the jungle, and that's important, but Gold Fury already at half HP.
A good call from the veterans from Very Nice to Me. This is the decision-making that it takes to win the games. You might have given up 4 kills, but hey, an 8.5-minute Gold Fury keeps you relevant.
And yeah, that just... You got to have some awareness there if you're Armada. I understand that that's not one you expect to be taken, right? You're not prepping for an 8.5-minute Gold Fury when you're so far out in front. But a team, like you said, like Very Nice to Me, is going to expose that weakness.
Well, still experience advantage for Armada if they really want to continue to group up as a unit and start invading some more camps. Red buff due to respawn in a minute, as well as that blue buff on the right side of the map with a 1-level lead for Bra, with a 1-level lead for Cope. I wouldn't be surprised if they lean on this right side of the map.
No reason not to do so. Cope is already nearby, but so is molluskk and DaddyLefty. That's a good game since Cope definitely wanted to come over and try and go for that invade. He has quite a lot of wards on that side of the map too, so he had some information. It just wasn't enough. As molluskk is going to ult.
Oh, cashing out Cope, but this is the issue. When you go for the blink and no beads, having to use out 3 ultimates for the kill will keep their buffs intact. Keep in mind, speed buff was ignored because Oceans was making that rotation a possibility.
Taunt pulls Bra back in. No ultimate here for molluskk, but he can definitely still gank if he can find special delivery, but Fatal Strike from Bra should shut that down as he repositions. Instead, Sibyl will lock down Oceans, but sops can't get in to follow up.
I like the fact that Bra used that ultimate without hesitation, worried about that special delivery. Sibyl taking a whole bunch of damage on the left side. Oceans doesn't have his ultimate. I used it to try to kill out Copebby, but sBennyQ jumps over the red, forced the beads. He's going to get rooted.
He is definitely getting locked down. Earthly Fury comes out from Sibyl, but not enough. Wowy finds that kill. DaddyLefty wants to keep up the chase. That might be a little bit too late. Sibyl appears to be very much out.
Backhand side, though. Bra manages to take out molluskk in a 1v2.
And Oceans ends up falling to sops as well. Now DaddyLefty in some trouble. They taunt him back in, and Cope finds that kill. That makes it 2 for 2 overall, but Bra wants to try and make things a little bit better as he chases down SoloOrTroll. And Sibyl, very low, is sticking in the fight, and it works perfectly. Cope gets a double. Cope finds a triple, taking down Oceans as well.
Wow, what a turnaround play, honestly, because Armada started off strong, started to slip away a little bit, but it's making it happen. A little too far overextended was very nice to me. They really wanted to take out sBennyQ that was looking to steal away that red buff, jumped over the wall. It's like, what is this Uller trying to do in our base? Trying to, punish him for his transgressions. Just overextending too long to allow Copebby to respawn and come back in the thick of things. And while he was escaping on the Fire Giant side, Cope didn't have the blink available, didn't use his ultimate, so he had it for the cleanup.
Bruh and Cope were so important in that fight as Pyromancer being started up one more time if you're nice. We won't be able to steal this one away. Bruh to be able to find the kill in the 1v2 in solo, and then Cope to clean up that fight. That was the first fight all game, really. That looked like it was going very nice to me's way, and Armada had just lost the gold Fury. Things were about to get out of hand, but a great job answering back.
DaddyLefty wanted to chase out Sibyl at the tail end of it, didn't allow him to really disengage the way he would have liked to, and that little aggression can come back to haunt very nice to me. Despite getting that gold Fury 3 minutes ago, they're still struggling in the gold and experience department.
Armada still can feel comfortable, though not quite as far as they would have been had they not given up that gold Fury. So they'll have to play a little bit more mindfully around these objectives. I would like to see if we could maybe see some wards around these objectives a little bit more. Try and make sure they notice. Now that it's become clear very nice when you're trying to steal them away, you got to make sure you respond.
There'll be a little bit of action in the mid lane. Sops forced to beats away from a good route out of Oceans, but keep an eye on Cope and keep an eye on Molluskk as he uses that Sonic Boom.
Able to find a nice kill to take down Sops. He's not done yet. He wants Sibyl as well. Forced out Earth and Fury. Cope here with the taunt, but can't get the heal. Molluskk finds a double kill in the middle lane. sBennyQ wants to respond, but can't get here in time. And now he might get locked down by SoloOrTroll.
The taunt was a waiting game, waiting for the jump that never came, and then missing the taunt at the very last second. sBennyQ gonna get rooted, might have been forced to use the bead, still taking a whole bunch of damage. Taunt as well. SoloOrTroll taking out Benny.
It's good that he was willing to continue being aggressive there and chase him down. Sibyl, not much he could do as a lone Terra to try and keep his team standing. And now Armada lose 3 members across the map.
sBennyQ really messed up those beads. Used it at the very last tick of the route. And I think that it should have been used probably at the second or third one, because each tick of the route consistently slows you down. So you need to avoid that slow originally, because those slow ticks allowed SoloOrTroll to get in position, wait out your beads from the route, and then look for the taunt in the secondary phase.
Very nice. We have now very much closed the gap in this game. Let's take a look at those charts, because they're only down about 1,000 gold experience, right around that same level. You can see the swing back in the favor of Very Nice to Me. These last couple of engagements have really evened this game back out.
It definitely has, and if you're Very Nice to Me, this is a perfect position to be in, considering that they have Molluskk playing this late game Mercury. You might have started off in a slow foot for your team, but Molluskk hasn't. He's been on fire. Sitting at 3-1 currently, part of 50% of his team skills. And then also the control, I think, from Very Nice to Me is respectable. Athena, Artio, Oceans can definitely follow up from the taunt, creating a madness effect from the Strife.
Bruh, looking for a little action in the middle lane.
Like that.
But that's great damage back from Ocean. Sops is so low and irrelevant already. Daddy and SoloOrTroll might want to keep going, but that's huge from Ocean.
The double Strife into the double Unruly Magic. That's where Discordia makes her big bucks right there.
Now Benny gonna find the axe on the Molluskk. Beads comes out early, special delivery, pins him against the wall. Sibyl's on his way, but Benny losing the trade handily, gets taken down by Wowy with the Desert Fury. A nice cleanup.
Sibyl not able to get off that Earth and Fury to save his Hunter's life. Aegis, not sure if it was picked up yet or not, as it still hasn't been tapped into from sBennyQ. And with a 5-on-4 advantage for about 20 seconds, Very Nice to Me are posturing as if they want to flirt with the Gold Fury, but Molluskk too low to be around.
Looks like they don't want to go back in. In fact, his brother wants to start things off. Oceans does drop the apple. It spreads for good damage. DaddyLefty finds a 2-man stun and force out the Earth and Free from Sibyl. Cope very low, has to retreat, but DaddyLefty still taking a good bit of poke. Instead, SoloOrTroll taunts 2 back in, but Oceans can't find the damage.
Bruh, cleaning up DaddyLefty. That was a good cleanup play. Now Molluskk trying to get in position to do literally anything, but the attention is going to be at the Gold Fury, knowing that Armada have to back out. I was a little worried for Armada when Bruh used that Fatal Strike defensively, spreading the apple.
That really didn't make things rough for him as Bruh gets absolutely deleted. He makes it back out on the back end, but he's so low, the shell wasn't enough to keep them alive. But they've also forced away very nice to me. The Gold Fury still stands. In fact, Armada, they're not healthy enough to start up for themselves, so they just have to leave.
Man, so much back and forth action, and sBennyQ really feeling the pain to the point that he's going to go for this third item, Magai's Cloak. We've seen it from time to time from some SPL players, so it's definitely showing its benefits, but as an Uller player, your whole objective and why you pick this god is to be that lane bully, get off as much physical power as you can to get the long distance shots off. So slowing down that pacing is going to hurt the team fight from Armada.
Cope takes a lot of damage in the middle lane as there's aggression by the Gold Fury as well. Cope should get the heal off in time. Now it's sops as the target, but he's in the disapparate. Benny finds the Hail of Arrow, Bladed Arrow combo and puts down molluskk. SoloOrTroll, no taunt available, has to wait. Apple off the mark as Wowy's the one that gets stunned, but a big strike once again saves their life.
Still going for the Gold Fury as it gets leashed out. Wowy having to retreat. DaddyLefty takes out Sibyl, but the Earthen Fury goes through before the fall. Bra looking for the cleanup, but he's in a 1v4. The rest of his teammates had to back to heal up.
It's a 1-for-1 so far, and Bruh about to gift his life away to make sure that it is a 2-for-1. He certainly will fall. Oceans is the one that gets the kill, and now Gold Fury should be here for very nice to me. Armada too often are grouping up for Oceans' damage.
That's right. And Sops' Supernova wasn't the most optimal position. It was just the zoning buffer instead of getting off the actual damage. And now Cope is looking to play cleanup, but he gets taken out by Wowy instead.
Comes in a little bit too soon by himself. It does force him to slow down the Gold Fury, but he gives up his life. That's a good cripple field to make sure they can't make their way in, but Gold Fury still leashed. Very nice to be not confident even against two. SoloOrTroll comes in, good axe to slow him down, but now Sops is left on a bit of an island. Very nice to me. Grab the objective, and SoloOrTroll waiting for Sops the second he comes out.
Sops is healing from the Bancroft's Talon very nicely there. Very low is DaddyLefty. Very low is SOT, and despite the Gold Fury, very nice to me lose two members, and if I'm Armada, I'm not doing Pyromancer here. I'm doing the Fire Giant.
But I'm so confused. I mean, Oceans and Wowy never come to that. Do SoloOrTroll and Lefty not ask for help? Do they feel like they're fine? I don't know what it is, but there's a bit of a disconnect as they die on their own at the front of the fight. And now Armada are indeed starting up the Fire Giant, and Bruh's gonna zone away molluskk.
As he should. That damage from mollusk's Mercury is a little bit too high to want to fight into. Bruh has Fatal Strike, so if he can force the special delivery and get him low enough, that would have been a kill, but Armada not gonna risk it for the biscuit.
Instead, Bruh gonna go for the retreat. Defender of Olympus comes through, so Wowy should be A-okay. And Fire Giant still stands. But after all that, after 18.5 minutes of action, we're essentially dead even at this point, at least in terms of gold. Very nice to me, has clawed their way back towards relevance. A slight experience lead for Armada, but without the FG, the big objective still on the table, and the game's still very easy.
This is anyone's game, and it's going to come down to plays like this. Cope is going to get a healing off from the apple. Good knock, a better stun. Sonic Boom. Copebby is getting tossed around like a rag doll.
Desert Fury too good, and DaddyLefty cleans up the kill on the back end. Sops wants molluskk and gets him with the Stellar Burst. Now can they find any more kills on the back end? They get taunted by SoloOrTroll. The wall's perfect to catch out the dash, and now they might lose this Athena, but she makes it back underneath the tower just barely.
Oh, Braun not having the Fatal Strike to clean this one up, but still gonna look to at least body block. Can't intercept SoloOrTroll's dash, but DaddyLefty will go ahead and take a spill.
Finds the execute very cleanly. Tier 1 tower goes down. Now they're considering pressuring the Tier 2. Oceans and Wowy the only one around. SoloOrTroll had to back, and they should be able to grab this Tier 2.
A lot of gold now going to be going to Armada. 1,500 gold from Tier 2, another 500 from the Tier 1 as they're able to capitalize on those two picks. molluskk was the first one to fall. A little too far out of position after overextending to kill out Copebby. Retreating on the south position away from your natural base is not the general safe way you want to go, but sometimes your hand is forced, and Sops was able to clean him up.
A huge fight for Armada when the game was virtually even to be able to find the Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower in a couple picks. Now an opportunity to group up around the Fire Giant if they'd like it, though everyone from Very Nice to Me are back up. Aegis is a bit away still for molluskk and Oceans, at least 90 seconds on both of those, so they might want to wait until those are back.
That could be the case. Fire Giant was flirted with by Armada for a little bit until they realized molluskk was right around the corner. Very nice to me. Still in position to do a lot of work. I think it's going to come down to the work of these junglers and the Guardians. The control between both Sibyl and DaddyLefty has been changing the course of this game, honestly, and that's why we're seeing this different style of builds between Shogun's Kusari for Sibyl, Witchblade on the side of DaddyLefty.
And they've got to recognize now this Fire Giant being considered. Armada have grouped up around the objective. SoloOrTroll's nearby, but he can't do much on his own. The zoning duty's up to Bruh. Supernova confirms it. Armada grabbed the objective. It's a nice taunt from SoloOrTroll, but he's all by himself. Good damage from Oceans, but they've already got the Athena, and Sibyl drops the Earth and Fury as well. Cope's got to get out.
He has to get out, but the rest of his teammates are going in. sBennyQ is forcing Wowy to jump away. Bruh already with a double kill. sBennyQ takes out Wowy that was jumping into no man's land. DaddyLefty gets off a nice stun. sBennyQ going to keep him in check. A nice knockup preventing the dash, and that's going to be 4 quick picks.
And that's tough for Very Nice because that went about as bad as it could have gone, right? The only way it could have been worse if molluskk died too. But they're too late to defend Fire Giant, and then they kind of trickle into the team fight as well in the back end.
They thought that Armada were a little bit too low to fight, but joke was on them. Earth and Fury's a pretty good ability, it turns out. Being able to heal off some of the allies, also using the Monolith for a little bit of sustain. Cope was able to self-sustain himself. Sops on the back foot. sBennyQ without lifesteal on his side, going for a little bit of damage.
Tier 2 tower and right's going to come down as well. I like the idea from molluskk to try and find what tier 1 he can, but Cope comes over to slow down that aggression. I thought these late game fights might go a little bit better for Very Nice to me. They've tried to slow down these auto attackers. They've got the Nemean on SoloOrTroll, the Witchblade on Lefty to try and slow down Sops and Benny, but it just has not been enough.
Sometimes you need to go all in and go for the horrific emblem upgrade, potentially, going for damage reduction, going for the attack speed reduction, which is funny to see a Witchblade for DaddyLefty and not to see a Witchblade on the side of Armada, considering they're up against a Mercury.
It certainly could be strong into this Mercury as well, as molluskk now starting to work on some crit to round this build out. Rage coming in. Maybe a little late. He should still be able to get stacks unless Armada in this game fairly quickly, so shouldn't be too big a deal as Armada grab a Gold Fury.
Nothing to worry about the Gold Fury. Very nice to me. Not going to leave their Tier 2 towers anytime soon. In fact, only one Tier 2 tower remains in the dual lane. Tier 1 are very unhealthy at 50% health, as that's going to crumble at the 23-minute mark. The rest of Nice to Me need to go for some kind of Hail Mary play, because this is where things are only going to get scared. They're down 8,000 gold now, about to be 10,000 after this Tier 2 tower, and if they don't defend this Tier 2 or this Phoenix, things are only going to get scarier for their chances of making it to Georgia.
Now, one thing that has been apparent all game long is that Oceans does a lot of damage, which is definitely still good news for them in terms of their siege defense, I'd imagine. We've seen some Discordia stripes turn Phoenix Siege entirely around in the past.
Oh, yes. All the strife is what you're trying to look for. The madness effect, we've seen it before, how much damage he was able to do around that level 10 marker when he strifed 2 players and also found the unruly magic. And that's going to be even easier to accomplish when SoloOrTroll is going to be literally taunting 2 or more players together to allow Oceans additional damage.
So there is a small avenue back in for Very Nice to Me, though. It's not particularly wide, at least not at this moment, as Armada waiting in the jungles a little bit to see if anyone comes out too far. Cope going to be the nice dangly bait that Very Nice to Me might want, but they're still not going to bite just yet. Now they're moving a little bit far forward. Armada might be ready to initiate on whoever comes around the corner.
He's looking for it. Cope is thinking about blinking on in, and there he goes. He's actually going to get caught out by that Sonic Boom. molluskk taking a bunch of damage.
Earth and Fury was huge to bring molluskk down low, but he still has managed to make it out. But now all of Very Nice to Me have to retreat. Remember, this mid-Phoenix is already down. They can get nothing here and set up to come to right where they already have a minion wave.
Ooh, Sibyl going to get rooted in place. The blink taunt from SOT. Way off the mark. No follow-up from the Chaos side, as they're going to have to defend their Titan for a little bit longer. Armada, without the Fire Giant any longer, just now fizzling away from their waist, needs to recalculate how they want to approach the sieges.
I like the idea with that play. That was designed for them to try and find a couple picks, because even though they forced Very Nice to Me back, since there's no Phoenix there, that small window, that positional advantage they gained didn't really amount to much. They got split up trying to go to the right side Phoenix as well, so couldn't grab that. Because of that, Armada just kind of wipe the slate clean. They back up. They're going to come get FG.
And Bra having a pretty good mid to late game, despite struggling in that early department, I would say, with that one death where he was a little bit overextended on that tier 1 tower line. molluskk having a good rotation there. But since then, he's like, oh, okay, I'll just kind of rotate instead and look for plays. And that's what allowed Bra and the rest of his teammates this huge lead. That execute. The fatal strikes from Bra have been relatively on point in the team fights.
They absolutely have been, and the resets are what's really spelled some problems here for Very Nice to Me, who now kind of just have to wait for Armada to come to them at their own pace. They'll certainly grab this Fire Giant. But in these team fights, what's been really impressive to me is not just that Cope has been able to find good targets, but he's actually been able to absorb a good amount of damage as well. He's been a very good target for Very Nice to Me, but the heal, all those things, all his protections as well, have allowed him to go in, get right back out, and then the rest of Armada can collapse.
Going for a hybrid build between the Mad Guy's Cloak, the Void Shield, having a decent amount of physical protection and health, absorbs the damage out of Wowy and molluskk. And keep in mind, you know, Turtle Shell giving you a health shield. You got your ultimate to heal you up. Sibyl's Earth and Fury to really allow you to sustain yourself a little bit longer are all important factors to give Cope the freedom to blink in almost recklessly at times.
He has been kind of a little bit crazy in this game, but it's absolutely worked out for Armada, as now it's time for the Phoenix Siege. Phoenix has already been weakened. A two-man taunt and Strife are both down. Earth and Fury hits nearly everyone. Lefty is left all alone up front, but manages to absorb it all. Sibyl has to retreat, but now enough space has been open for the mid-Phoenix to be burned down.
Decent amount of damage from that major look, but Armada are not to be deterred. They got what they came for in that middle Phoenix, shifting their attention to the right side of the map. sBennyQ was very frisky jumping over that wall, considering that anyone could have been waiting around that corner. molluskk very healthy, but without Sonic Boom, can't really take advantage.
That's nice healing, though. The Fire Giant, the Aussie, and the Axe Stance heals all get sBennyQ back topped up. Even the Terra there, if he even needed it from that Monolith. Now with the mid lane Phoenix re-siege, they can move over to the right. Look at molluskk positioning on the side. He doesn't have ultimate, but he might be able to find a big major look as he walks in, finds the back line, but gets punished almost immediately.
Aegis having to be used. Special delivery defensively. Right side Phoenix still relatively healthy, about 50% health now, but everyone else from Very Nice to Me pushing themselves backwards.
Right side Phoenix is down. SoloOrTroll and execute Threshold, and Bruh finds the shot with the fatal strike. He lands a stun to force out Aegis, and Lefty is the next target. sBennyQ finds one for his own. Another execute from Bruh. Only 2 members left. And Very Nice to Me might be falling in game 1. Armada want to hit blood first.
Armada can't be stopped. 28 minutes into the game, taking out Very Nice to Me in game number 1. Just one more victory away from making it to Georgia.
Man, it seems like only one, but it's not going to be easy up against this Very Nice to Me team, right? It's one of the longest ones you can try and think of trying to beat this team. But Armada looked great, and that was even with Very Nice to Me having, I think, a fairly good early game trying to slow them down, but Armada grouped up around Cope and wrestled the game back.
Oh yeah, those blinks, very aggressive.
Yeah.
Sometimes they hurt him because he got caught out in the jungle at times between Ocean's rotation.
Yeah.
They invested 3 ultimates onto Cope that one time around the Fire Giant pit, but it didn't matter. Once he hit level 12, picking up some CC immunity with the Mad Guy's Cloak as well, he made it look very easy in a world where it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, the Achilles is also instrumental, I would say, here for Armada. Those executes, especially in those mid-game fights around like the 11, 12-minute mark, were really what's trying to help turn things around, getting those resets and good fights around the objectives as well. A good game 1 from Armada, but totally, I mean, are they going to be able to get it done that one more time?
I don't know. We're about to find out soon, Finch.
It's a tough task for them. Let's get it back over to the desk to have them break it down.
What a solid performance from Armada. They are now just one game away from taking the spot away from Very Nice to Me, which at the start of this split tech, I would not have said as a possibility.
I don't think anybody would have ever imagined that Very Nice to Me would find themselves in this situation. I am hard-pressed to believe, though, that Very Nice to Me don't stretch this out to a game 3, even despite the jungle and mid laners being swapped out.
Sure.
This is still a team with plenty of player experience, and I think they're going to be able to take it down to the very last round.
Bra's performance in that one, 9-1 he went in there. We saw him in the first set like we were talking about when they faced off against Sanguine. It looks a little bit more troublesome for Bra, but that game he took by the scruff of the neck and supported his team beautifully.
I think that Bruh and sBennyQ did a great job working hand in hand off of each other. Copebby, he was there purely for the setup for sops. I think Simple also had a lot of really great monolith placements, and the Earth and Fury timings were so pivotal in helping Bruh get that little last burst of damage so he could put somebody down with the Fatal Strike.
Well, Bra will be the MVP for that game on the Achilles play. Copebby helped him out a lot, but, well, the Achilles came up big, and 2-level lead in the solo lane up against the Mercury there in the rotation. Well, that's going to be a rough situation. 5-2 at that moment in time. Just a solid Achilles game.
That's just part of the dangers, though, of trying to gank an Achilles so early on when he's probably performing at his best, being a full lane bully up against the Athena. Not a lot of pressure there happening, and well, Achilles is just going to focus out the jungler. Jungler's so squishy, 2 levels under. It was just like an alley-oop from themolluskk to Bruh.
So what did Very Nice Me need to do different this game? What exactly really went wrong for them? Obviously, Achilles is going off and no one can control him, but what do they need to change then in the picks and bans?
I think that a lot of it just came down to the way that they chose to prioritize their ganks. Maulus probably spent a little bit too much time drifting over to the solo lane, maybe in the hopes of alleviating some pressure from his solo laner, but it kind of just worked against them because it left their duo side and mid lane a little bit too exposed, and Cope was able to get off some very nice ganks. I think that also the duo lane, it was just left to run rampant, and sBennyQ took full advantage on that Ula.